Now, silver's already fallen 11 days in a row, and it's getting really, really oversold. You know, you look at the stock market. What's the stock market up here today? 34%, right? And yeah, Bitcoin's up 300% or whatever. And I don't have any doubt that that's, if there was no such thing as Bitcoin, the flows into precious metal would be even greater, right? But now people look at that and think, well, okay, this is at least an alternative investment. It's a speculative investment. There's still no doubt about that. But nonetheless, that's siphoning off dollars as well. And at the end of the day, Patrick, we live now, nobody has an attention span longer than about 10 minutes. You know, I can sit here and lay out all of this bullish case about gold and the gold miners. You know, I got this friend of mine I've made named Tavi Costa that works out in Denver at Crescat Capital. He does all these great charts showing how the mining companies are cranking out free cash flow for the first time, like in history, it seems. Then you got all these great fundamentals. Nobody cares. Why? Well, why do I want to care about holding gold and maybe, you know, in a really good year where the banks play defense, it goes up 20% when I can just buy freaking Tesla, you know, or some other meme stock and make 20% in a day or a week. And so, so it's really hard to fight that prevailing sentiment. You know, this notion that nobody needs diversification, nobody needs safety, nobody needs a balanced portfolio, man. Just plow it all into that Kathy Woods ARK fund, you know, and let's make as much fiat as we can. That is still the prevailing sentiment, and that is something that, you know, we just keep fighting. People are still stacking gold. A physical demand remains really strong, whether it's through central banks, whether it's, you know, like the citizens of Turkey. I mean, as the lira has been devalued, look at how gold in Turkish lira has just been soaring. I mean, it's doing its job there. But, you know, what we all care about is a dollar price, not the Turkish lira price. And for now, there's just not enough demand for all of it in all its forms, particularly in the futures contracts. It's in the futures markets that price is discovered, if you will. Okay, the Fed, for 5 years, spun this narrative that they were going to draw down their balance sheet, right? Oh yes, we are going to let bonds mature and the balance sheet's going to go back, you know, normalize. Remember, normalize was a big word? Rates were going to normalize too. And I was like, wait, no, you can't.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information. And it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
I mean, we're already paying $500 billion a year in interest on the national debt, right? It's $30 trillion in debt, paying $500 billion a year because they've been able to lower the total collective yield, the interest that they have to pay on that's like 1.6%. Okay, well, let's let rates go up to 3.2%. Now you're paying it more than $1 trillion a year. I mean, the whole thing just spirals that much faster out of control. So this notion that the Fed can ever normalize, they've got to keep everything. If you raise rates, that's disinflationary. That's soaking up money. The economy, to keep the plate spinning, they need as much cash as possible to keep servicing all of this existing debt and to keep the wealth effect going, of keeping the stock market up, all this kind of stuff. And so we saw this in 2018. The whole thing finally came crashing down. The 10-year note got to 3.25%, and everything seized up. The stock market, the S&P fell 20% from late November to Christmas Day in 2018. They had a meeting of the President's Working Group on Capital Markets, the plunge protection team, on Christmas Eve. Christmas Day, the markets are closed. December 26th, Dow magically goes back up 1,000 points. But that was the moment that the Fed then said, oh, we can't do this. By June of the next year, because it takes them a while, they actually started cutting. Real rates have been falling the entire time over the last 3 years. Nominal rates have fallen back, and obviously the COVID thing, you know, drove it all the way back to 50 basis points or whatever on the 10-year note. But this idea that they're going to somehow withdraw liquidity, stop adding it, step away from the bond market, let the bond market soak it up. Well, you know, maybe they've created so much reserves. What is it, 1.5 trillion in reverse repo every day?
Every day.
Maybe that will come flooding out to buy 10-year notes. Maybe, for a while, maybe. But this notion that, you know, the Fed's going to control inflation by raising interest rates, again, with as long of a lead time as that takes, I mean, that's not going to happen. That's the jam that, I mean, if I was Powell and Biden said, hey, Jerry, thinking about going with this gal over here, Brainerd, I'd have gone, yes. Just dealt with this. I'm moving to Florida. I'm going to play golf every day. I don't want to do any part of this job for another 4 years. But, the fame and having the microphone at CNBC and all these places whenever you want it, I guess is too much. And so he wanted to stick on for another 4 years. It's a real jam that we're in. All the stuff that they tried to do in the 80s, they can't do today. So we'll just, we ride it out. We buy the physical metal on the dips, knowing that it's our protection for when those plates all finally stop spinning again.
I have bad news for you. If you're not rich by now, you're screwed. And if you're in debt, you're even double screwed. How so, you might wonder? Well, the sad truth is that you're working your whole life to make someone else rich. The mega corporations, the banks, the politicians, everyone is getting richer. They get your money. And what is even worse, they get your time, they get your life. You are not even in a rat race, you're in a financial prison. But what could a solution for you look like? Honestly, I don't know, but I know what a solution for me would look like. It's very simple. I use whatever money I have and I multiply it with 1,000. This could make my life much easier and probably yours as well. If you have $1,000 available and multiply this with 1,000, I believe that this could solve some financial issue for the one or the other. Of course, if you're ugly, you would have to multiply it with much more than 1,000. My name is Marco Stan, and this is what I decided to do. I decided to 1000x my money. This is not a joke. I know what you may be thinking. What is this guy talking about? How should this work? This is not possible. Well, I made a detailed video where I laid out my plan. And some clever folks might even want to look at this plan and copy it and do exactly what I do. This is just a little hint on the side. You have two options. You leave, you forget what you have seen. You do whatever you're doing and you hope that somehow you get some other results. Good luck with that. Or you click the link below the video. You enter your email address because I'm not showing this to everybody. You at least watch my video on how I plan to 1000x my money. The choice is yours. Make the right choice. Join me. See what a different future you could have. See at least how I plan to do the 1000x. So click on the link below, enter your email address, and I see you on the other side. Your Marco Stan.